Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm going to tell you the truth. Why the NFL is all over the place. And I'm going to tell you who's in good shape and who's not in good shape. So let's talk about the Rams. Talk about a team not in good shape is the Rams, LA Rams. They played the Packers. And the Packers won. And the Packers won because 13 points came off turnovers. Two bad turnovers, one forced by a good Green Bay, by Gary on Green Bay's defense. He forced a turnover, which led to a touchdown. And then then the Rams McVay was desperate going forward on 4th and 1 at their own 30. I knew they weren't going to make it. I said, they're not making it. You're going to run the ball, and they weren't running the ball good all day. They run Henderson, he gets stopped. And Green Bay, they're very fortunate. It was only 3 points. So now you're down 10-0 when it should be a scoreless game. The Rams cut it to 3. It's 20-17. So they stabilized the game after all that nonsense. The Packers, this is Aaron Rodgers, a typical Aaron Rodgers, 13-play, 75-yard drive. Dillon, 5-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers. They're up 10. And then the Rams punter fumbles the ball, and the Rams hold. So the Rams have held the Packers twice to only 6 points off of 2 turnovers. All right, you're down 14. You got the ball. You score. You're in it, back and forth, classic game. Nope. Stafford threw a bad pick six. Rasul, my guy from my area, Rasul Douglas, jumped the short route from Cooper Kupp. Took it to the house. Game's over. After that, it's window dressing. Beckham did get a long bomb, which will help in the future. They lose 36-28. The Rams defense was okay. They were much better than the last 2 games. Stafford concerns me because the fumble wasn't his fault. That was just a great bull rush by Gary. But the pick six concerns me. And the pick six against Tennessee and the pick six against the Niners. And every game can't be a pick six now. So this is 3 games in a row. And this is a disturbing pattern. They were a little tougher, still a little soft spots. Beckham a lot better. Green Bay was much better. Defensively, they were a little more solid at home. Aaron Rodgers. He's going to do what he has to do, even with his toe. I don't worry about that. He could function however he functions, regardless of his injuries. He's solid across the board. And the Packers took care of business. Now, in the only really big game that took place was the Buccaneers and Colts. And the Colts were in control. Carson Wentz, he was making those passes. I said, Carson Wentz got to make some passes. He did. And they were up 10 at the half, 24-14. He threw a couple of touchdown passes. He threw 3 touchdown passes. So he's out playing Brady so far. But what the Tampa did, they ran the ball like crazy. Fournette gets a run. Ronald Jones gets a run. They get the lead. I'm like, uh-oh. And then they come down and they move the ball. And they're up 7. 4th quarter. Colts drive down the field, and Jonathan Taylor gets a 4-yard touchdown run. And the fans are celebrating. They tie the score 31. I'm thinking the game's over because you give Brady, he had 329. He's not going to move quickly. He used the running game a lot. Short passes in the running game because he wanted to milk the clock down to where there was no time left. And he did. With 20 seconds left, Fournette runs the ball in for a 20-yard touchdown, and it was over. And that was a good win by Tampa. And if you look at the NFC landscape, Tampa and Green Bay are set up. I'm not saying they're going to play each other, but right now they're in good shape. If you look at the playoff picture, Arizona, because Kyler Murray's coming back. So, but Green Bay beat Arizona without Aaron Rodgers, I believe. Was that without Aaron Rodgers? Without their running backs, they beat Arizona. All they have to do is stay even with Arizona, and the whole home field advantage goes through Green Bay, which hasn't helped in a couple of times. One time they got blown out by the Giants. They got beat by the Niners when Kaepernick. They got beat last year by Brady when the coach didn't want Aaron Rodgers to go for a 2-point conversion that could have tied the game, which was stupid. But Aaron Rodgers and the running game with Jones and Dillon, who's growing, big, strong running back, they're getting there. Scanlon, Cobb, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams went off today. So if you're just having those guys ball out, you got a chance. And their defense is getting after the quarterback, and that's big. And when you saw Gary get that strip sack, hit the elbow of Stafford, so they're definitely getting right defensively. I just wonder how tough they are when they have to play Arizona and Tampa when the playoffs come. And then there's Dallas. And Dallas has disappointed, whether it's injuries or just lousy play on defense. Here's the problem with Dallas. Lawrence is going to come back. So they're going to get their pass rushers. They're going to get Cooper, and they're going to get CeeDee Lamb back. They're going to be whole, and they're going to be as talented as anybody in the entire NFL. I don't trust their coach, and I don't like their coordinator, Quinn. Their talent is amazing. Parsons is unblockable. Lawrence is hard to believe. They're explosive everywhere. Offense, defense. I don't trust that coaching staff at all. They would have to go to the Super Bowl in spite of the coaching staff. And that's hard to do when you're dealing with Brady and Green Bay and Arizona. Everyone in the NFL has issues, even the great teams. You see Arizona, can Kyler Murray stay healthy? Green Bay, can they play consistently tough defense? Tampa Bay, the corners are horrible. You saw Carson Wentz had one of his best days. Dallas has just got issues mentally. Can they get over the mental threshold of making those big wins? Because if the Skins win, Skins are 2 games back, and they got Dallas in their place. Dallas is a much better team than the Washington football team, I should say. But sometimes I make the mistake of saying the Redskins, whatever. It's not really, I'm not really going to be worried about that if I make that mistake. But I'll just say, for the sake of argument, the Washington football team. And then the Rams. The thing about the Rams, I still believe between Miller and their defense getting acclimated, I just think they're going to get better toward the end, but they better hurry up. Beckham getting that touchdown, I like how they use Beckham. If they can get Beckham going with Cooper Kupp and Higbee, that will help. But they have, Sonny Michel and Henderson have to give you a little more of a push. They got to give you 70 to 120 yards rushing to make this system work, because it's a play action system. It's a quick hitting system, and it allows the receivers not to see those exotic pass coverages that you saw today with Green Bay. That way, Rasul Douglas can't jump or route, a short route that Cooper Kupp ran. Now you got to play more honest, a little more man, and that allows Beckham to get around his defender with his speed, and now you can really play the way you want. But if you don't run the ball, are they good enough to do that? That's going to determine if they go to the Super Bowl. Now, are they good enough to just run it enough to stay on schedule? And can they be tough stopping the run? And can they consistently play to their maximum potential with Floyd, Miller, Vaughn Miller, Donald, and Ramsey on the back end? Those are the questions. In the AFC, it's kind of a mess. I mean, because everyone has issues. Baltimore is fortunate. New England won today, and they're on a roll. They won 6 in a row. Tennessee's going backwards. Without A.J. Brown, they're headed for a fall. And Kansas City sitting pretty because San Diego was flat. I mean, the LA Chargers were flat, and they lost. And I just think the Chargers are going to be up and down because they're too young. They're too young to handle success. I wonder that about Cincinnati. I could see the Chargers going to Cincinnati, beating Cincinnati after Cincinnati destroyed Pittsburgh. And then the Vegas had a big win. So Vegas is like a playoff team. Uh, I don't know about Cleveland. Denver won. I don't know about Denver. I don't know about Indianapolis. Pittsburgh definitely not, unless because you have an extra playoff. Pittsburgh will always be in it, but they lost 41-10, and I could see them losing a couple of more 41-10 type losses coming up. I think that's not the last 41-10 loss you'll see. I think Kansas City will be in 41-10. I can see Minnesota really putting a lot of points on them. I can see Baltimore beating them 41-10. I can see a lot. So I have to cancel them. And Miami's coming on. It might be too late, but I like how Buffalo recovered. I still believe Buffalo's going to beat New England. Buffalo's going to beat New England. Buffalo's going to be the team. And you're going to have Baltimore and Buffalo and Kansas City. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City have kind of opened up because you get the really good young playoff teams of Cincinnati and the Chargers, but they are going to deal with consistency issues and dealing with success. Once you have a big game and then the following week you don't play as well. And they're young, so you expect that. But I'm looking at Buffalo. I think New England, because of Jones being a rookie, they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. They got Super Bowl defense. But I'm looking at Baltimore. I'm looking at Tennessee and Buffalo. I'm going to watch those three teams, how they trajectory. I don't completely trust Baltimore, and their schedule's a little rough because they're going to get beat by Green Bay, and they got a couple of tough teams where they might get beat. So there you have it. That's the NFL landscape. Okay. The college football weekend was something else. It was crazy. Let's get to the Alabama-Auburn game, the Iron Bowl. Oh, boy. Whew. I put on Facebook, and I love Matt Lowe. That's my guy, Auburn guy. I felt for him, man. Auburn, and everybody talked about it the day before. So this is Sunday night. I'm doing my show. I never seen a team dominate like that and lose a game. Auburn dominated Alabama so bad, and it was the points. But it was 10-0, but it was just the 7. I thought they were going to break the record, SEC record for most sacks in the game. They were sacking Bryce Young. They're hurrying them. They're shutting the run down. They're doing everything they need to do. But I tell you what really hurt them. It was Finley's bad interception that led to 3 points. And that was big for the standpoint. Now, after you played that bad for a half and you're not down 24-0 is a miracle. So TJ Finley, who was playing on really one leg, was leading them. But yeah, he did make the mistake, and Alabama capitalized. But Alabama was missing a field goal. They're going for the 4th down, and they went for the 4th down. They wasn't even close. And then Robinson got hurt, so they're going for the 4th and 1. They didn't have a prayer of running that ball and making it. But Auburn has a chance to run the clock out, and we all talked about it. Not able to Bigsby ran out of bounds. He was trying to stay in bounds, but the Alabama defender did a good job of taking care of that. That was good. But still, I'm still thinking, you know what? They're not going to do all that. Alabama had the ball with time on the clock, 12 plays with a minute and change. With no timeouts, I still didn't think they were going to score the way they played. But then they got on a little bit of roll, and then Ja'Cory Brooks, the freshman, at one catch, makes an amazing catch. They tied the score going to overtime. I said, oh, boy. That changed the entire complexion of the game that was thoroughly dominated by Auburn. It goes overtime, and Auburn played defense like you'll never see Auburn. Auburn has always had some good defensive players and good moments, but man, they looked as good as as a defense team as you ever see. They sold out to try to get this win. And their offense kind of played over their heads a little bit. Philly makes this incredible pass in overtime to tie the score. But Alabama's on fire right now, so that's the problem. They get the 2-point. Auburn gets a 2-point. Auburn threw the ball at the tight end for a 2-point conversion. They took the tight end out. I thought that was a mistake. And then Finley couldn't convert because Kool-Aid McIntosh, good name, knocks the ball down. And I said, oh, they're in trouble because now Bryce Young, all he has to do is convert one pass for a 2-point conversion, and it's over. And Menchie, who had a good game, catches the ball for the touchdown. It was a wrap. Now, the good for Alabama is they got heart. You know, they're the heart. They can play like garbage, but they just fight. They're always going to fight. They've ever since Nick Saban, the greatest, has ever done it as far as coaching, has been there. They've been fighters. I saw them get outplayed one time by LSU, and TJ Yeldon runs the ball in the end zone, and AJ McCarron gets emotional because that was just an incredible win, and that was when they annihilated Notre Dame in the championship. And then the Georgia game, many of the Georgia games, Georgia had them beat, and Georgia ended up losing. Now, this is the problem. Georgia's defense is insanely good, and their offense is solid, and they got a guy that's pretty good. Their tight end is awfully good, and that's a problem. How does Alabama – now, defensively, Alabama's good against Auburn, but it's different than Georgia because it's not that they're blow you away offensively, but they play to their strengths, and they're very efficient. Stetson Bennett is efficient. 255 yards, 4 TDs in the blood against a lousy Georgia Tech team. But the guy I like is Brock Bowers. He is something special. And they're going to give Alabama's going to get a steady diet. They better put their best defender on this kid. But Georgia, they got to make sure they put it. Georgia has a certain style that's worked all year. Get up 21-0. Get up on your opponent, pick your ears back, and just beat them down. And sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes they can beat them right away. They got to get that lead like they've been all year. All year long, they have to do what they've done. And whether it's a pick six, whether it's a sack, use the left side of Alabama's leaky offensive line where Nick Saban had to make substitutions because of how bad it's playing. They got to continue that. They got to make sure that they get Alabama out of there. I would not try to play a game where Alabama's still in it and you got a potential superstar like Bryce Young as a freshman with a chance to beat you. Yeah, you could definitely stop them, but could you stop them? Everything that I saw yesterday screams Georgia's going to crush them. They're going to get after Bryce Young. He's not going to have no time. And Georgia is not going to be like Auburn, where guys like Brock Bowers and Zeus White will run, and they'll be able to run it a little bit, and they'll be able to throw it, make enough scores to put pressure on Alabama. They'll get the lead, and they're due. They have their heart broke with bad coaching moves by Kirby Smart, bad fortune, not enough time on the clock with Aaron Murray. Eventually, that has to change. Is it this year? It better be this year, because Alabama, these kids are coming back, and they're flawed now. But man, you better beat them now, because you don't beat them now, forget it. Now let's go to the other game before I go into the standings. Michigan State beat up Ohio State 42-27, and they were due. I thought it'd be a close game. I didn't pick Michigan, but I thought Michigan could either win or make it a close game. But they got that first scoring drive, and they were serious. A.J. hitting 14-yard run. Hassan Haskins, who had a great game, had a 1-yard run when OSU scored a touchdown, and they took the 10-7 lead. And you're thinking, uh-oh. But then when Michigan came back, they let them know, not this time. And then they shut down Ohio State except for a field goal. And then they took over in the second half, They outscored them 28-14. And that was the difference. And they made the plays when they had to. The quarterback was fantastic. Haskins had 5 touchdowns. I mean, man, he had a game. He had the game of his life. You look at this box score. Ohio State couldn't run either. Ohio State runs. They got the terrific wide receivers, but they're pretty balanced. They had no balance because Michigan's front seven was fantastic. Fantastic. Haskins had 169 yards rushing. Blake Corum had 87 yards rushing. McNamara had 159 yards passing. Wasn't solid, but he made all the plays he had to. No mistakes, except the one by the goal line. And Wilson had a great game, making some big catches. They did what they had to do to win that game. And Adian Hutchinson had 3 sacks. Ajabo had 1 sack. So their stars had 4 sacks. They got after Stroud. But Michigan, now Ohio State wanted to win. Michigan wanted to win more than life itself. They were so sick of being 0-12. Harbaugh not winning against 0-7. They were due. Ryan Day, I'm not the biggest Ryan Day fan. He's talking about I'm going to hang 100. If you say you're going to hang 100 on your rival, I need to see the receipts of your all these national championships you're winning, and you don't win about 5 out of the last 6 national championships, or you're like Alabama or Clemson. If you're talking this junk, this is my issue with Ohio State. I got a couple issues with Ohio State. I do not like Ohio State. I have my cousin, I have people who are Ohio State fans. I'm sorry, I have to tell the truth. There's reasons why I don't. The fans are obnoxious. Now, yeah, you could talk about Alabama fans. Alabama has won national championship after national championship. They've earned the right to be cocky. Clemson could be somewhat cocky because they've won recent. Alabama has a national championship in 2014. Ohio State. Ohio State talks like they have 6 or 7 in the bag. That's why Ryan Day talks like that. Ryan Day hasn't won anything. And Ryan Day has gone to the playoffs and got his rear end kicked. He's not Urban Meyer. And that was kind of funny that Harbaugh said, listen, because you were born on third base, that doesn't mean you hit a triple. I know he was waiting for that one. He was sick and tired. They were sick and tired of Ohio State. And they're gone. And I'm glad I don't have to talk about Ohio State. I'm sorry. I apologize to anybody that's friends with me that like Ohio State. I do not like that team. And other than the defensive linemen and receivers, a lot of their players underachieve in the NFL. It's just, look at Haskins. Look at their quarterbacks. I don't like any of their quarterbacks. Fields is okay, and the rest of the quarterbacks stunk. And they were hyping every one of these quarterbacks up. And I'm like, I don't think they're going to be any good. I just was never blown away by them. I think they're terrific. They have terrific talent. Next year, they got a 5-star quarterback coming in. I respect what they do in the Big Ten, but it's just, I'm not blown away by that group. Not like Alabama, and definitely what Georgia has been doing. Georgia hasn't won a national championship, but they should this year. But Georgia has built a nice program, a nice little run. So we'll see with that. Lincoln Riley is gone. Talk about Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, pretty much, it was 26-24. Oklahoma State was winning. No, actually, it was a tie score. And then Oklahoma State shut out Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a touchdown off of a fumbled punt and a safety. And other than that, they didn't score a single point. Oklahoma State's defense, their front 7 and their front 4 got after Caleb Williams like nobody's business. And they ended up winning, and they're going to be in the finals against Baylor in the Big 12 final. Lincoln Riley's gone. I mean, I was just shocked because Lincoln Riley's going to USC. Just the way he was so emphatic about, I'm not going to LSU. I am not going to LSU. Read my lips. All right. I read your lips. Yeah, but the problem is I wouldn't have been so emphatic about saying that and then turn around next day and go to USC. That's just bad. And you don't ever want to go back to Oklahoma. He's got to leave now, of course. He can't coach there, and he probably has to leave there. The Oklahoma fans are probably upset. But he probably didn't want to coach in the SEC. He didn't want an LSU job. He didn't want to stay at Oklahoma. He felt like they don't get those type of recruits. They do get recruits, but USC, he's going to get, because he already got some players from the LA area. He's going to invade what Oregon's doing because they had Thibodeau's from LA. And now he could come in there and take over. And I think this is a great, great, great move by USC. He's going to get the great recruits. He's going to have an opportunity in the Pac-12. Anytime USC's good, UCLA's getting better, the Pac-12 will start to come on, which is good. So I was happy for him, but Oklahoma got beat. Now, finally, I just want to say the Final Four will probably be Michigan at 2 because of how Alabama struggled, Georgia 1, Alabama 3, and Cincinnati 4. I would think Oklahoma State over Notre Dame because of their resume, Notre Dame and then Baylor. If Baylor wins, I don't think Baylor gets in. If Oklahoma State gets in, say for instance, Alabama wins. You got Alabama and Georgia in, and if Michigan wins, and then Cincinnati and Oklahoma State will fight it out. If Oklahoma State wins, Cincinnati's out. If chalk holds up, Georgia beats Alabama in a close game. Michigan wins, Oklahoma State wins, and Cincinnati beats Houston. You're going to have, if it's a close game, Alabama's going to be moved to the 3, and they're going to end up playing Michigan. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. And Cincinnati be out. Even though they had an undefeated season, Oklahoma State, with that beating Baylor, will get in. If Alabama gets beat by more than a touchdown, Alabama's gone. You'll have Michigan at the 2, Oklahoma State at the 3, and Cincinnati at the 4. If Oklahoma State loses and Alabama gets beat up, you'll have Cincinnati at the 3, Michigan at the 2. Notre Dame gets in at the 4, I believe, over Baylor. But if Oklahoma State wins, of course, Oklahoma State will get the nod over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's only hope is Alabama loses big, and Cincinnati losing, but if they don't lose, they would need Iowa to win. They want to make sure there's chaos because they won't get in. And they shouldn't get in because I think they're okay. I'm not blown away by Notre Dame, but Baylor has an opportunity if there's chaos. But if there's not chaos, Cincinnati's going to get in. And then what I think is going to happen is Baylor's going to win. Sure, if Georgia wins by a big enough margin, then Alabama's out. Michigan, if they're not too sky high over Ohio State, which Harbaugh said they weren't, they'll get in. So you would have Michigan. If Baylor pulls off the upset, but Oklahoma State defense is tough. If Oklahoma State wins, you're going to have Michigan, Oklahoma State, and then Cincinnati plays Georgia. Remember, Cincinnati gave Georgia trouble last year. Georgia beat the brakes off Cincinnati this year. And then you would have Michigan, Oklahoma State, 2 great defenses. That would be a great game. But if Alabama plays close, don't sleep on Alabama getting in. If they play them close and you play the most dominant team in college football close, the committee would be like, okay, they're number 4 because they did what they had to do in the SEC. And you're not blown away. Oklahoma State, Michigan, Baylor, they're all in Alabama, all in the same, pretty much the same. And Cincinnati's slightly behind, and Notre Dame's a little behind as far as the class and talent level of those teams. Okay. So you have it right there. But I just think that chalk will hold up. Michigan will take care of business, and Oklahoma State. I'm going to think about that for my next show. That's a tight game. I'm going to crunch the numbers on that. Cincinnati should beat Houston. Georgia, Alabama, everything tells me Georgia's going to beat them up. But I don't sleep on that doggone Crimson Tide.